Hello everyone, I'm the Alien Doctor and welcome back to the first redstone video I've done, and in this video I'm going to be showcasing some various auto droppers. Now if you don't actually know what an auto dropper is, then it is simply a dropper that will automatically drop everything that's put into it. And generally the way auto droppers work is by taking a comparator output from the dropper, powering a clock which then powers the dropper. So that's the main way they work, and I'll tell you whether I'll give you a full tutorial on how to build it with a full materials list, and I'll also tell you whether they are tileable and all that sort of information as well. You could use an auto dropper for many reasons. So for an example, bubble streams like this, you could place one of these by the side like here with the auto dropper facing into the bubble stream, and it would shoot out all of its items up through the water stream, which comes in handy for large farms which produce a lot of items. And yeah, all of these auto droppers are facing this direction, or basically forwards or sideways, basically not down or up, and that's because if you're doing it onto a item elevator, then you do have to have the dropper facing into it like that, because otherwise there's no soul sand space for the soul sand if you do the dropper in the floor. However, if you do want these to shoot directly downwards, then you could put a stair on in this direction, or this direction, and then all the items would shoot directly down, and we can demonstrate that by as you can see, all the items are going perfectly down, and they will go pretty much in the same place every time as well. Whereas if we actually get rid of this, then they will just go really far out this way. And it's also very inconsistent as well. You know, it's not going in the same place. It's got, you know, different range and, you know, that sort of thing. So it makes it a lot easier if you want to put a stair in front of it like that. Okay, so here is the first design. So this is a simple design that takes, well actually let's turn it on first whilst I'm explaining. So it takes a comparator output out from the dropper, then through this repeater into this comparator clock, which then powers the dropper, and as you can see, you know, all the items will go into the item hopper or wherever else you're dropping them out into. I did try doing it without this repeater being here, which would have been really ideal, but unfortunately the comparator, if there's one item in here in the dropper, the comparator doesn't have a strong enough redstone signal to then power this clock, which is kind of a shame. But if you have a lot of items in here, then it might work. I'm not actually sure, I didn't try it. But yeah, this works best with the repeater. I would just put the repeater in. This design this design is not tileable, so you couldn't build another next to it either side. It wouldn't work either side, and there will be a tutorial at the end of the video. And as you can see, all the items have been dispensed from it. I put a full stack of netherite ingots in there, and we got a full stack of netherite ingots in the hopper. Okay, so the next design. So here's the next design. It is pretty simple. So this comparator goes through this repeater, which then powers this block, which then powers the comparator clock, which then powers this block, which then powers this repeater, like so, as you can see. And that's just going to dispense all of its items downwards. And you know, there are no items left in it of anything once it's finished. So if we just wait for it to run down, and as you can see, all the items will go into the hopper. So yeah, no items left, all the items are in the hopper. It just works. Tutorial at the end. Whoopsies, did not mean to do that. And this is the next design. So this makes use of observer clocks, which, if you actually did not know, if you place two observers facing into each other, then they make a redstone clock, as you can see. And yes, so this design basically uses that feature as well as sticky pistons. As you can see, this is a sticky piston by my resource pack. So if you first of all place down this quartz stairs, or just any stairs, it doesn't have to be quartz, chuck in this netherite. So this takes the comparator output from the dropper, which then pushes the observer to this observer to make an observer clock, and then the output from the observer clock goes straight back around into the dropper, as you can see. And you know, it just works. Obviously, well, both of these designs aren't tileable, so they can't be put next to each other, but it still works pretty well, and it could come in handy if you don't have that much space behind. However, you do have space to the sides, and this one could come in handy if you have space this side but not this side, and this one could come in handy if you only have space around the back. Next up, we have got this design. This is my favourite. However, there is one like flaw to it, and that is it has to have a hopper here, because the comparator output is taken from this hopper. So if you put the items in the dropper, then it doesn't actually work. You have to put the items in this top hopper, and what it does is it takes the comparator output, powers this sticky piston, which pushes down the observer into an observer clock. This observer is then pulsing, which powers this block, which then powers this dropper. Let's just put a stair there. And yeah, as you can see, it works pretty well. This is probably my favorite design. However, if you've not got any, I feel like have I lost a netherite ingot? Interesting. That's weird. Oh no, here it is. Okay, I thought I had some loss with this design. That would have been really strange because it would have made sense. But yeah, I found it. So yeah, this is my favorite design, and this is also like the only design that is tileable, as you can see right here. That basically means I can put this in here, and it doesn't affect any of these hoppers. You know, I can put it in all of these, and it just works. It's really nice. I really like it. It's really cheap. And you know, it just works well, basically. Yeah, I've not really got that much else to say about that one. Okay, so next up we have got this design. This is actually the last design, our 5th design. And this one is also not tileable, but you can have a hopper going this side or the top, which could be a good thing, I guess. However, this block has to be here, because that's how the dropper gets powered. So if we just put the stair on, they do work without the stair, by the way, as you can see. All these designs work without the stair. It's just to make it go straight down. But yeah, so what happens here is, like, comparators for me, they're always confusing when they're in subtract mode. But this powers this block, which then powers this dust, which powers this block, and then the repeater signal is taken back and put through into the comparator, and then there's also this block has its power taken from this redstone line into this repeater into this block, which powers the dropper, and somehow it just works. I don't fully understand it, but yeah, it works pretty well. And yeah, and obviously no losses either, because that's just not how it works. You know, it works perfectly, as all these do, because I wouldn't show you ones that don't actually work, obviously. And I'm just waiting for this to finish. There we go. And we have got all of the netherite back. And as you can see as well, all of these were in their separate hoppers, so these aligned perfectly. And none of these went over to the side or went in the wrong hopper as well. So that does just show that this stair trick does actually work. But anyway, now it's actually time for the tutorials. Okay, so here is design 1 and the tutorial for design 1. In the little showcase, I actually did it with a redstone dust here. However, you don't actually have to have it with a redstone dust there. So, you know, saving resources. But anyway, the materials for this build are 1 dropper, 9 blocks of anything. It doesn't have to be iron, but they do need to be solid blocks. And also, if you're building this on the floor, then you're not going to need like these blocks down here, because obviously these redstone dust could just be on the floor. And then 2 redstone comparators, a redstone repeater, and 6 bits of redstone dust. And yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do, and you may need some temporary blocks to actually just like help you place other blocks in. But anyway, so what you're going to want to do is place a temporary block here, a dropper here, destroy the temporary block because it's temporary. Then go 1, 2, 3, 4, or obviously if you're on the floor, then you don't have to do that because you can just do it on the floor. Comparator here, repeater here, comparator here, put this into subtract mode, and then put 2 blocks here like this. Wrap the redstone just around the comparator. You could also do this on this side if you wanted to, so just punch out these and do it on this side. It doesn't really matter which side you do it on. And then go a temporary block, and then place a block here, destroy this block, and then 1, 2, and then just bring this up like here, like that. And as you can see, it now works perfectly. Obviously it's not got a stair, so it's not all going to go into that hopper, but yeah, that did all work really nicely. And you know, no losses or anything like that. I'd always recommend testing it just to, you know, make sure you've actually built it right. And this is design number 2. And for design number 2, to build design number 2 yourself, you are going to need 10 blocks, but some of them could be on the floor as well. So that just depends what height you build it. 5 redstone dust, 2 redstone comparators, 2 redstone repeaters, and 1 dropper, and then also an optional stair if you want it to go directly down. However, if you're doing it in a bubble elevator, which most of the time you probably will be, then you don't need to do that. Or bubble elevator, or just a water transport system thing, you're not going to need the stair. Really, the stair is only for like really high up farms. But anyway, you also may need some temporary blocks just to help you place in other blocks. You're going to want to place a temporary block here, and then your dropper here, destroy that block, and place a 1, 2, 3, and then this is going to go comparator, repeater, and block. You can also destroy this block here, then put 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks there, comparator in subtract mode, wrap the redstone around it, another block here, redstone dust here, block coming off that, block here, and then your repeater right there. And then here we go, that's design 2 for our auto dropper done, and as you can see, it works perfectly. And this is design number 3, and for design number 3, you are going to need 1 dropper, obviously, because it's an auto dropper, 2 observers, a sticky piston, redstone comparator, 4 redstone dust, and 5 solid blocks. But some of those could be on the floor if you do this like built on floor level. I'm just doing it elevated, so it's kind of easier to see. You may also need some temporary blocks and an optional staircase if you want it to go directly down. But I've kind of already explained why you would and wouldn't want it to go directly down. So you know, you kind of just need to make that decision. So place a temporary block here, dropper here, destroy the temporary block because it's obviously temporary. Then go ahead and place 2 blocks like this, a block here along with a piece of redstone just here, and then a repeater, a sticky piston here, and your observer. So you're going to need to place a temporary block here, and then your observer facing into that block, destroy the temporary block, then go ahead and place, actually no, you're going to need to keep that temporary block, place another observer, destroy that temporary block now, then place in a block here, and a block here, and then redstone dust just wrapping around like that, and that should be your entire auto dropper done. Let's go ahead and test it, and as you can see, it works perfectly. For design 4, it's the most compact, and it's also the only one that actually is tileable. You are going to need a dropper, 2 blocks of iron, 2 observers, a redstone comparator, a sticky piston, and a hopper. And what you're going to want to do to build this is place one block down here, place in your dropper, and then go ahead, place in a block here. You're going to have to crouch to place this, otherwise you'll just open up the dropper thingy, UI. Place in a hopper here, comparator here, then go and place in a temporary block, place in an observer, then place in a sticky piston here, and an observer going into that block. And there we go, there is your auto dropper done. We can test this like so. Remember, on this design though, that items have to be put into this hopper. You couldn't open it up and put it into this dropper. However, most of the time you're probably going to use this with a hopper input anyway, so that shouldn't really be a problem. Here is the last design to build this auto dropper. You are going to need a dropper, obviously, redstone comparator, 2 redstone repeaters, 3 redstone dust, and 10 solid blocks. Some of these blocks might be on the floor as well, depending on what level you build it at. And okay, so first of all, place a block here, then place in a dropper like so, then go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to want to place a repeater, a comparator here on subtract mode, a redstone repeater here, crouch, place a block on the side of this dropper, and make sure it is a dropper and not a dispenser, then place a block here, redstone dust here, place a block on here. Basically you may have to place a temporary block here, or just place it on the side of the redstone dust, block here, redstone dust here, block here, and a block here. And yeah, that's all the blocks. So then you're going to want to actually go ahead and place a redstone dust here and a repeater here. Yeah, I think that's right. And then you should just chuck all this stuff in, and yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's the final design of Auto Dropper for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any problems, there's a Discord server down below. I'm very active on it, as well as other people will probably be able to help you out on there. If you do have any problems with any of these designs at all, or any of my other tutorials. And yeah, I do hope that you have enjoyed this video. It has been quite a fun one to make, and I hopefully am going to do some more videos like this actually in the future. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, maybe consider subscribing. No pressure though, you don't have to. And I will see you later. Bye!